Click the links for Odysee, chute, coffee to support my vitally, vitally important work. You know, I'm doing the Lord's work in red pilling normies on Gab. I guess Parler had some problems, so all these normies are this massive influx of maggot crowd on Gab, which is a target-rich environment for the rest of us. So Tolkien, as a Catholic allegory, would Tolkien be into the backhole loving between blue-haired childish weirdos? It doesn't seem like it, because he had a family, and the backhole crowd don't have families. They have cats that hate them and will eat them when they depart this mortal coil. I saw these two stories about Lord of the Rings. The SJWs, these degenerates, wallow in filth, death, and decay. And they feel bad about it. So they want to bring everyone down to their level. It's like falling off a diet. You just want everyone else around you to just be fat, rolling around in donuts and Snickers bars, so you're not alone in your disgust. Christianity and Catholicism are different things. If you read the relevant literature and conclude that you're Muslim, Jew, Christian, or Hindu, then nobody can tell you differently. But to be Catholic has a dogma that one must follow. If you are BLT and you read the New Testament of Christ and become a follower of Jesus Christ, now you may consider yourself a Christian, or at least you have a very strong argument, and you can do that with the other religions as well, but Catholics have an organized structure that you must adhere to be Catholic. Tolkien wasn't just a Christian, he was a Catholic, and in an environment of 100 years ago at the time, the LGBT was seen as a burden on family and society, which is where the term the bundles of sticks came from. It was a burden, imposed a cost on the family and society because, they probably weren't going to have offshoot. The other story on Lord of the Rings was a bunch of insane SJWs who I suppose want to reimagine the tale, but with more breastless POC lesbians. They want to do to Lord of the Rings what they did to Star Wars. If you put diversity in a fantasy realm, it just looks like a Hollywood movie made to virtue signal. You got to be very careful to make sure that it's organic. For advice on how to do that, see Terry Pratchett in his 30-odd books. Rest in peace, he died very, very young. The lack of accurate tribalism completely destroys the willing suspension of disbelief. Lord of the Rings was created post-World War I. Be careful here, Bianca. Before the globalists opened the borders and improved Europe with vibrant and sanguine diversity. The story was told from his perspective as an Englishman back when England was different. Now it's enriched. The goal is to swap the original Europeans out of these great stories so that European kids don't have anything to look up to. The BBC did this with shows all the time, and if you see their YouTube comments, people are noticing kids see things on TV and they just believe it. They see Africans in early European tales, and in their mind it's sort of real. Kids don't understand who the globalists are, though I will say that when they hit about 16, they start getting red-pilled, and this switch is flipped. And this is made easier due to social media, even mainstream social media. They learn that they've been lied to by liberal teachers their whole lives, that the victor writes the history, and if you control the media, then you control the narrative. Truth is usually the opposite of what the globalists are pushing. Lord of the Rings was beautiful as a distinctly English or European story. It didn't need other people any more than an African folktale would need Irish people in it. But European achievements are problematic for these internationalists because Europeans can look at it and say, looks like we were different in the old days. Really kind of activates the almonds, which is a bit of a sticky wicket for YouTube because saying globalism, diversity, cultural Marxism, those words are wrong think on the platform. Saying that they're cancer, which they absolutely are. In a few months, saying it will get you a strike, and eventually your channel will just get nuked, which it's only a matter of time. It is what it is. I guess I'll just start. You know what? I do have another one. It's got like little news clips on it. It only has 150 subs, but hopefully if I get it to 300 subs, Odysee will upload the stuff automatically at that. That's their limit. And there are some huge pop culture channels on YouTube, but they can't talk about the root causes, so their conclusions are all, gosh, these people sure are crazy. I don't know why they're doing this. Bob Iger and Chapek and, gee, I just can't Put it together. Okay. So no, they're not crazy. They're acting with intent. This is not negligence or recklessness. These are genocidally evil people. They just sit around doing coke all day. All this stuff deals with cultural Marxism, and it is very dark and not social media friendly. The thing is, the SJWs, the mindset is coming from a very evil source. Bolshevism. But SJWs are a special protected class on social media, so they're able to push to the left without resistance. Finally, people get so fed up that a market for alternative platforms are created, and the message gets out. You can kill the revolutionary, but you can't stop the revolution. Actually, and God, what a sellout Rage Against the Machine turned out to be. Get those knee pads out and go to town on that corporate D. Raging for the machine and posting photos of people who did actually rage against the machine on January 6th for the FBI. Congratulations, the left. You've come full circle where you're just FBI informants now. What a bunch of sellout. I would use filthier language, but in respect for this background image, I won't. Actually, alternative social media is very cool because it allows a movement to build up. People see that they're not alone in their anger with these globalists, and anger is very, very good. Here's the thing with these parasites. They will slowly take everything from you. The BBC rewriting history should have... they should have had to post a scrolling text at the bottom. Warning, this is pure globalist fiction paid for by Soros and the Rothschilds to create groupthink. It used to be families just got rid of it's just we were always at war with Oceania. We were never at war with Oceania. It used to be that families just got rid of the TV if they wanted to save kids, but now kids need internet access for school. So you see how they're setting up this infrastructure. So they get brainwashed by prawn filth. And who do you think controls the prawn industry? That's right, filthy, filthy globalists. How are you supposed to keep kids safe when the infrastructure of society is designed to brainwash them? The only choice you have is to set up your own neighborhood homeschools and get the sort of cut the cord of the internet until kids are, 50. They absolutely will reboot Lord of the Rings. Frodo will be a breastless POC lesbian. The elves will look like orcs and vice versa. And they've got to find a way to make blonde-haired, blue-eyed people evil. The hobbits, elves, men, everyone will be mixed, and they'll be fighting the patriarchy, and Saruman will look vaguely like Donald Trump. And of course, there will be plenty of gay hobbits kissing. Everything you liked about those hobbits, they will F in the A. Anything Christian or pro-Europa will be destroyed unless we stop them. And no, I'm not talking about in pop culture. Who cares about Hollywood? We can burn it down and make our own. If they try to reimagine Lord of the Rings as a diverse abortion, then it won't be Lord of the Rings. And there needs to be a name for when they do this. It's like they took a sandwich and removed all the nutrients from it. They made a papier-mâché sandwich and expected you not to notice. They nerfed it, but even worse. They nerfed it and covered it with dildos. Denatured Lord of the Rings. America is getting lamer than anyone could have envisioned, which is a challenge when you're this pessimistic. At this point, I say just give the commies a state to live and rule as they see fit, and give the Nazis a state, and just sort of as an experiment. It would be better than these constant riots where nothing gets done. All they do is riot. They give speeches that absolutely nobody listens to. The speakers don't even know what they're talking about. They've never picked up a history book. It seems like all the speakers are obese idiots, probably half stoned, who read from their phones, but since they're illiterate, it's a slow process. Dear Antifa BLM, only men can lead. Find a male leader and elevate him. People don't follow women. Even women don't follow women. When males listen to a woman speak for more than 30 seconds, their ears turn off. It's not sexist. It's a natural evolutionary adaptation to prevent the male brains from exploding. And so I was reading Lord of the Flies last night by Golding, and as an adult, it feels overrated. The story structure and everything about the story is well done, but it's sort of the opposite of Lord of the Rings. In Golding's BDSM fantasy involving young boys, He seems to wallow in this fantasy filth of the great English who will resort to savagery without the structure of civilization, except that the English built civilization. They even built the airplane that crashed in the jungle. So the story is about children acting like children anywhere on Earth. Lord of the Flies is more a window into William Golding's worldview. It feels indulgent to his particular adolescent psychological maladaptation. We get it, dude. Childhood sucked. It sucked for most people. Go to therapy. It's very well written, but it doesn't feel like an important work because ultimately it's a story of kids acting like little douchebags, which is what kids are. What are kids? They're dirty and they break shit. And they're expensive. Human beings aren't really finished developing until about 25, or at least, the plasticity in the brain and all that. Humans aren't animals. For kids, mentally speaking, maybe ontology recapitulates phylogeny. Lord of the Rings is sort of the best of us, a Catholic European reaching for the stars, and, England. I don't know can I say they're the best of that group, or is that like hate speech now? I don't know. They're very cool, and no, I'm not English. Lord of the Flies, as the title says, is reaching for the underworld. Plus, it has a bunch of naked boys running around, which felt a little weird. Like, it didn't feel creepy, but it didn't feel like in a prurient manner. It's just, hey, why'd you put it in there? Like, again, it doesn't feel like, people say about Biden, like, touching kids. No, I don't get any of that. I get zero of that vibe from him. And I know that's like, if people want to hate somebody, it's like, I'm obviously not a fan of Biden, but I get the vibe. He's just an old timer. He's just elderly. Like, it's just a different thing. Like, I don't get the vibe from him. So anyway, like, comment, subscribe, support me on Coffee, PayPal, Patreon. Thanks for the recent donations. Do I deserve it? Do I deserve it? Probably not, but I'm grateful. All right, guys, I'll see you all in the next episode.